Part 8. The strongest assassin in the server. Author, B.A. Wang Shi-san. Chapter 71. With a cold snort, a well-equipped team walked in, led by a man with sword-shaped eyebrows and starry eyes, who was the president of the mythical guild, Guilty. His equipment is extremely good, with purple light lingering around him. Almost all of his equipment is purple. The sword in his hand even emits golden light. It is actually a golden weapon. This is the style of the leader of the giant guild. Although Yuchen is a reborn person, he is also a little emotional at this time. When Huo Wu saw this person, his expression turned cold. "My Shiranui, who are you showing your stinky face to? You need to understand your current situation." Wuxin snorted coldly and said, "You are no longer the same person as before. Your company is bankrupt. If I hadn't continued to inject funds, I'm afraid it would have closed down long ago. And I can stop at any time. So there is only one way for you to go next, and that is to join my myth, and at the same time, be my woman." "You're dreaming." Huo Wu was so angry that his face turned green and white. After taking a few breaths, he said again, "Not guilty, you are too narcissistic. You think you are the only rich person in the world? You have to believe that with my strength, even if I join the 10, any of the major guilds and their presidents will be happy to help my company solve its financial problems." "Haha," Sinless laughed wildly and said, "It's a pity that in this light camp, except for my myth, the Killer Guild, and the Hall of Fame, there is no other powerful guild to stop here. You can't join the Killers Guild. And the Hall of Fame has been going downhill since last year. I'm afraid I can't meet your requirements at all. Ha ha ha, so after all, it's just me. I have to say that this innocent person is very crazy and arrogant, just like the King of Heaven. I have no boundaries at all. But he does have the capital to be arrogant, because in terms of strength and financial resources, Xinhui is at least in the top 3 among the top 10 giants." I see. After hearing the conversation between the two, Ye Chen nodded to himself, and the somewhat messy memories of his previous life were slowly sorted out. It turns out that from beginning to end, Huo Wu was unwilling to join the Xinhui. It was only because Wuxin held the lifeblood of her family in her hands that she finally succumbed. Of course, even if Huo Wu joined Xinhui and even became the vice president in her previous life, her relationship with Sinless did not reach the level of boyfriend and girlfriend. "Who the hell are you? When did I allow you to speak?" Wu Wu turned around angrily and stared at Ye Chen with gloomy eyes. No." Ye Chen answered honestly, innocently thinking that he had given in, and raised the corner of his mouth with a disdainful sneer, but Ye Chen continued, "But when will I need your permission to speak?" Hiss. A group of Zunzui subordinates gasped and looked at Ye Chen in shock. This guy is awesome. He dared to talk to the boss of Wuxin like this. He is dead. Court death. Sinless sword eyebrows furrowed in anger, and with a cold snort, he drew his sword and slashed at Ye Chen. But as soon as he took a step, he felt hot under his feet. He immediately retracted his feet and jumped back gracefully. Bang! A blazing flame rushed up from the ground next to Wuxin, but it did not hurt him at all. Just this hand showed that he was really powerful. And this flame impact was obviously released by Huo Wu. Wu Ziwei turned his head, sneered, and said to Huo Wu, "Humph, no wonder you refused to agree to be my woman. It turns out that you have already fallen in love with this pretty boy. But it doesn't matter, no matter who you fall in love with, I will cut him back to level 0, at the end of his sentence, Sinless eyes were already sharp. "Yashin, let's go back to the city and ignore him." Huo Wu was obviously very angry, but she didn't want to conflict with Wuxin here, because doing so would implicate Ye Chen. Ye Chen nodded, not guilty of insulting Huo Wu and not taking himself seriously. To be honest, the anger in his heart had begun to boil. But it would be unwise to take action now, because now he is not a sinless opponent at all, so he can only tolerate it for the time being. Then, the two crushed them and returned to the city, turning into a white light and disappearing from the place. Yeshen, Wu Xing silently recited Yechen's ID, then sneered and said to a group of subordinates, "Go ahead and kill this SB if you see him in the future. Kill him even in the town. Even if you try to lose the level, put him in solitary confinement, and get him back to level 0. Let him know the consequences of offending me without guilt." Yes. Everyone was shocked, knowing that the boss was really angry this time. He actually ordered to kill people in towns and cities. You must know that the cost of killing people in towns is extremely high. They are basically certain to die. And no matter how much the crime is worth, they should be locked up for 24 hours first. The guilt value continues to stack up. Kill 800 enemies and lose 1000. This is simply a life and death order. Under normal circumstances, even professional killer guilds are not willing to take on this kind of job. Baiyun City. Yashin, continue the topic just now. I think you are very capable. If an elite group is formed, I am willing to bring my sisters to join. Huowu has a good personality. He quickly forgot the previous unpleasantness and smiled at Ye. Chen said. Yes, I will consider it, Yuchen said. Are you just considering it? Geez, you are really interesting. Many group leaders are eager to get me to join the group. Now that I have taken the initiative to join, you still want to consider it? Huowu smiled and said, don't be scared by being innocent. Are you scared? Don't worry, with your strength, even if you can't defeat them, it's still very easy to get rid of them. If it doesn't work, at worst, we can create a guild, recruit soldiers, and fight them. Huowu waved her hand and said passionately. In fact, she had this idea a long time ago, but she was suffering from the current pessimistic situation of the family, which made her lack of energy and funds. Her top priority now is to find a big tree to rely on. She thinks Yechen may have this potential. Yechen was stunned and looked at her blankly. What's wrong? Huowu reached out and touched her little face, surprised. No, I just think you are a little different from what I imagined. I am me, fireworks of different colors, hee hee. Yechen shook his head. In his impression, Huowu should be an extremely elegant goddess who does not eat fireworks. Unexpectedly, she also has a female side. Okay, I still have to complete the task to rush to the chief, so I'll leave first. Cue me if you have anything, especially when forming an elite group. Huowu waved her hand and turned to leave. Yechen put on his hat and felt himself shrink into the darkness. He raised his foot and ran towards the Assassin Alliance. Since he had already obtained the title of chief, he did not need to do the contribution task anymore. When he had some free time, he could open the title slot. The strongest assassin in the server. Author, B.A. Wang Shi-san. Chapter 72. Yechen came to the Assassin's Alliance, found the staff, showed his contribution value, and said, "Hello, I want to open the title grid." The staff saw Yechen's contribution and immediately showed a flattering smile, saying, "Dear adventurer, the title grid is not opened in the Alliance. You need to find the High Priest. The Alliance can provide you with a letter of introduction." Yechen smiled and nodded. Of course, he knew that he needed to find the High Priest and complete his trial to open the title grid. But the High Priest's status is noble, not everyone can see him, and with the Alliance's letter of introduction, he can visit the High Priest smoothly. Soon, Yechen's unique letter of introduction was produced. Yechen's letter of introduction, Blue Quality Assassin's Alliance member, high contribution value. The use of the letter of introduction is very large. At present, his letter of introduction is not perfect. On the first day of next month, he will be rated as the chief assassin by the Assassin's Alliance, and he will update the letter of introduction at that time. Thank you. Yechen took the letter of introduction from the staff and ran towards the temple of Baiyun City. With the letter of introduction, he successfully met the High Priest. "High Priest, I want to open the title grid, Ye Chen said directly. To open the title grid, you need to pass the test of the god of death. The high priest said, next to this temple, there is a death tower. It is full of the heroic souls of our light camp who bravely fought against the darkness and sacrificed. You need to defeat them to prove yourself. Only then will I help you open the title grid and give you stronger power. System, you have triggered the task of the test of the god of death. 1. Task requirements, clear the 10th floor of the death tower. Task rewards, 100,000 experience points, 1,000 copper coins, and title grid add 1. Do you accept it? Yes. Ye Chen decisively accepted it, said goodbye to the high priest, left the temple, and came to the death tower next to it. This death tower is so high that you can't see the end at a glance. Legend has it that this death tower was built by a higher god and is endless. When the player reaches level 100 and obtains the godhood, he can go to the god realm above the 9 heavens. Even in the god realm, you can still see the death tower, and it still towers into the sky. In my previous life, I remember the highest record of the death tower was 99 floors. Ye Chen Nanan said to himself. At that time, there were many gods who could clear the 99th floor, but no one could defeat the gatekeeper of the 100th floor. So many players speculated that the highest floor of the death tower is the 100th floor. But this is unfounded. Unless someone clears the 100th floor, they will know if there is a next floor. And the task of the title grid is basically to open a grid for every 10 floors cleared, plus the grid that comes with it. It is 10 grids. And the most powerful god in the previous life only had 10 title grids. This death tower is too difficult, I can't even beat the first floor. Low life, my brother can at least beat the 5th floor. Trash, I can beat the 9th floor, but the SB swordsman on the 10th floor used a flash slash without saying anything, and killed me instantly. There is no way to beat him. Yeah, it's too abnormal, and you can't form a team in this death tower, otherwise you can form a shield warrior to withstand that flash slash. At this moment, many players gathered in front of the death tower. They must be doing the title grid task like Ye Chen. You know, they can receive the task, which means they are at least masters on the Alliance contribution list. And they are complaining at this moment because they can't pass the 10th floor, which is enough to show the difficulty of the death tower. Of course, their inability to pass the 10th floor does not mean that everyone can't pass it. In fact, some real masters must have completed the first stage of the task long ago. And the plaque on the death tower shows the player ID who has currently passed the highest floor. If multiple players have cleared that level, the plaque will only show the first player who cleared that level. At this moment, the plaque shows Ming Tian, occupation, thief, level 13, cleared death tower level, 19. Ye Chen smiled and went directly into the death tower. The scene changed and he came to an ancient tomb. Looking around, there were graves everywhere, but they were arranged in an orderly manner. In the front, there was a tomb with a more magnificent decoration. The head of the Knights Templar, the tomb of Odin. This is what was written on the tombstone. Then a white light flashed, and a shadow of a shield warrior holding a huge black shield appeared in front of the tombstone. This person was Odin, a level 10 shield warrior. Outsider, you disturbed our peace, Odin said, his voice was indescribably vicissitudes and depth. Junior, come and experience. Ye Chen didn't say much, he disappeared from the spot directly in stealth, and then ran over and hit Odin on the head with a club, triggering the stun effect. Firm will. War cry. Odin is a human shield warrior. He woke up from the stun state the moment his talent was activated, and then roared, and an energy wave was generated around his body, causing Ye Chen to fall into a state of stiffness. This war cry is a crowd control skill, which is a rare skill of the shield warrior at level 30. And Odin is only level 10, how can he use it? That's because Odin is only a heroic spirit now, and as the leader of the Knights Templar, his real level is certainly not only level 10, but he is limited to level 10 by the Death Tower. And he can use all the skills he had in his lifetime. This chapter is not over yet, please click the next page to continue reading. Not only Odin, but other heroes in the Death Tower are also like this. They can use skills beyond their own level. There are many rare skills, even special skills. Elemental transformation. Then, Odin waved his hand, and a black light suddenly appeared on Yechen's body, and he was forced to turn into a dark attribute attack. And the huge shield in Odin's hand was an extremely high dark attribute equipment. With extremely high defense, HP, and dark resistance, plus the use of elemental transformation and war cry, this Odin is a character. In the first 10 floors of the Death Tower, he ranks at least in the top 3. Many players were eventually slowly worn down by him because they could not deal damage. It's a pity that he now meets Yechen, a guy with abnormally high attack power. Poison. Poison mist. -100. -100. 2 streams of poisonous mist were sprayed out in succession, and Odin's HP suddenly dropped by 200, and he fell into a poisoned state. Then Yechen was unstoppable, and after a throat slash, he went around behind him and followed up with a backstab, dealing a total of more than 1000 damage, and took him away directly. You are very strong, the younger generation of the Light Camp. I hope you can inherit our will and bravely fight against the darkness. Odin smiled, and his already dim figure gradually disappeared. And his death, in addition to providing Yechen with a small amount of experience, did not drop anything, including a copper coin. This is also the characteristic of the Death Tower, which only provides experience, and will not drop any equipment or coins. Of course, even if the player fails the challenge, he will not be punished. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The strongest assassin in the server. Author, B.A. Wang Shi-san. Chapter 73. On the 1st to 10th floors of the Death Tower, all the heroic souls are only level 10. On the following floors, the level of the heroic souls is the same as the floor. After Yechen defeated Odin, he passed all the levels and soon came to the 5th floor. This floor is like a void, a dark place with no vision at all. The name of the heroic soul on this floor is Nothingness. He was a great thief in his lifetime, and he realized the so-called realm, which is the mirror of nothingness. In this void, he is the king and the master. Because only he can see others, but others can't see him. Even if Yechen uses blood eyes now, it won't work, because nothingness is not invisible at all, but there is no vision in this void. According to the official expansion pack, this nothingness was finally killed by an elf mage from the Dark Camp. Yes, it was an elf mage. They have the gift of perception. Even if there is no vision, they can detect when the enemy approaches and fight back. Yechen also knew that there was a special hidden mission for the hero soul void. Mission conditions: miss void's attacks 1000 times. The mission reward will be a very awesome title called Perceiver. This Perceiver title is very effective. In addition to increasing the 5 basic attributes of strength, physical strength, intelligence, spirit, and agility, it also increases 2 hidden attributes. And this attribute is perception. With 2 points of perception, even without using your eyes, you can perceive things within a radius of 2 yards, even invisible thieves are no exception. This 2-yard radius is actually a diameter, and in actual combat, the effect is often only a radius. As for the radius, it is only 1 yard, which is not very useful for ordinary players. Because the distance of 1 yard can be crossed almost in an instant with the agility of thieves, at this time, even if ordinary players perceive it, they can't react at all, and are stun-clunked by thieves in 1 set. But for high-end players, 1 yard is more than enough. They can react and avoid the thief's attack, and even fight back. The elf's talent perception can also perceive things within a radius of 2 yards. So this talent is equivalent to 2 points of perception. In other words, these 2 points of perception are equivalent to a talent of the elves, and the title of Perceiver has a little extra attribute. Do you think it is powerful? Of course, if an elf player gets this title, it will increase his perception by 2 points, which does not conflict with his talent. In other words, he can sense things within a radius of 4 yards. However, Yechen does not plan to do this hidden task now. He plans to open the title grid first. You know, missing 1000 attacks of nothingness is not a joke. If it is an elf master, it can be easily completed, but players of other races will rely on luck and perseverance. He is ready to take it slowly, anyway, he has plenty of time. At this moment, he suddenly felt a pain in the back of his head. It was obvious that he was hit by the attack of the void, and it was a club. Firm will. The human talent was triggered, which made him wake up from the dizzy state. He hit him with the club in the backhand and hit him. And it triggered dizziness. You must know that the void is an elf thief, so he has no firm will to remove the dizziness, so Yechen did not stop attacking. He directly cut the throat of the void with the throat slit based on his feeling, and then went around and stabbed, backstab. Seconds. Yechen smiled and didn't care. You must know that in his previous life, he spent half a month to complete the hidden task. During this period, he fought with the void for tens of thousands of times. Now, of course, he can easily kill the void. Of course, it is still a problem to miss his attack, let's not talk about it for now. After killing the void, Yechen continued to move to the upper level. After easily passing a few levels, he finally came to the 10th level. The heroic soul of this level is called Xiaohu, the most powerful existence in the first stage, that is, levels 1 to 10. In the previous life, Yechen reached level 50 and survived a move of instant slash, so he crushed him with his level. Even at level 30 or 40, Yechen couldn't withstand a move of instant slash, Xiaohu was so awesome. Of course, now that Yechen has been reborn, everything is completely different from before. In terms of technology alone, he is much stronger than in the previous life. Whoosh! Xiaohu rushed over without saying a word, and when he was less than 5 yards away from Yechen, his figure turned into white light and disappeared. Yechen's eyes condensed, and he used the sprint almost at the same time, leaving a trail of after images, and swept a few yards away like lightning. At the moment when Yechen left, Xiaohu appeared at his original position and slashed down with his sword, like a bolt of lightning, but unfortunately he didn't even hit a hair. Xiaohu turned his head and stared at Yechen, his eyes flashed with surprise and admiration, and a smile appeared on his cold face. Then there was no suspense, Yechen easily killed him in seconds. This Xiaohu was called Instant Kill Xiaohu. After using the instant kill, he was just a pile of shit. Cleared the 10th floor, the mission was completed. Although Yechen still had the ability to continue, he went back to the city directly, found the high priest to hand in the mission, and took on the subsequent mission Death God's Test, 2. Next, he entered the Death Tower again. He wanted to see if he could get through the second stage of the Death Tower directly with his current strength. The first 10 floors were still easy to pass. Yechen continued to work hard and easily crushed several floors before reaching the 15th floor. The hero of this floor turned out to be a cute little girl, and her name was very loud, the all-spirit mage Tujula. She was level 15, surrounded by monsters of the same level. Of course, these monsters were very cute and were called spirit beasts by the world. According to the expansion pack, Tujula is a genius animal trainer. She has an innate affinity, and any demon or monster can't help but want to get close to her. At the age of 10, she has already entered the battlefield against the Dark Camp as an officer. In many battles, she has instigated the enemy's pets and mounts to defeat the Dark Camp and made great military exploits. She is already a colonel at a young age. The youngest colonel in history, a genius animal trainer, a magician of all spirits, she had all kinds of titles and halos. It was a pity that she died prematurely at such a young age. Even if she lived a few more years, she would have become the youngest marshal. In the official background expansion of Dream World, a marshal of the Light Camp said so. The strongest assassin in the server. Author, B.A. Wang Shi-san. Chapter 74. Ye Chen looked up at the spirit beasts around Dujula. Sensing spirit cat, demon puppy, bald griffin. Damn, these guys were all powerful holy beasts when they were alive. Even though they were restricted by the Tower of Death, they still kept their best talents. Google searched Can. In his previous life, Ye Chen naturally crushed this level with his level, but now he is only level 11, so he only has a split-second chance. If he can't kill Dujula in seconds, he will be killed by her spirit beast. His left hand stretched out from his black sleeve, and there were some black darts that he had bought in advance. These were garbage that did not increase the attack power, but Ye Chen could deal a little damage with his own strength. Swish, swish, swish. Ye Chen shot darts continuously, hitting the head of the sensing spirit cat. This guy's perception ability was extremely strong. If he didn't lead it away first, his stealth would be like a decoration, and there would be no assassination. Meow. The head was attacked, and the sensory spirit cat suddenly straightened its body and threatened Ye Chen. But Ye Chen seemed not to hear it and continued to attack. Dujula shouted angrily, "You are not allowed to attack my little meow." At this time, the sensory spirit cat pounced out, and the howl in its mouth triggered invisible sound waves. Even if Ye Chen was dozens of yards away from it, it was inevitably hurt. Of course, the damage was not high, and Ye Chen was not in danger for the time being. Soon, the sensory spirit cat approached, and Ye Chen saw the opportunity to stun it with a club, and then ran away for several yards and rushed towards Dujula. Since getting the gold equipment Dark Cloak, his agility has more than doubled, and his movement speed has also increased a lot. After a few seconds, the sensory spirit cat woke up from the dizzy state, but it could not catch up with Ye Chen. Steal. After 5 seconds, Ye Chen withdrew from the combat state and disappeared directly. When Dujula and a group of spirit beasts saw Ye Chen disappear, they immediately looked stern and prepared for battle. But without the ability to sense the spirit cat, she was doomed to be attacked by Ye Chen first, even if she was protected by a group of spirit beasts. Ye Chen quickly came to Dujula, but did not rush to attack. Instead, he changed to a rubbish dagger. Breaking the martial art. Suddenly, he broke the dagger abruptly, and on the basis of still being invisible, he had a 5-second hegemony state. The hegemony state will increase a lot of defense, and will not be knocked away, repelled, or stiffened, but even so, he will never be able to survive a second under the attack of the spirit beasts. So, this hegemony is just a decoration, and it is useless. He performed the breaking martial art mainly for the additional 50 points of strength. This strength bonus, like the hegemony, will only last for 5 seconds, but it is enough. Hoo-hoo. The sound of Ye Chen breaking the dagger attracted the attention of Dujula and the spirit beasts, but she and they were looking around before, so they could not lock Ye Chen's position now. Dujula's face was tight, and the little loli exhaled because of nervousness. Poisoning. Ye Chen took out the red flame dagger again, quickly smeared it with poison, and then cut the little loli's throat with a ruthless hand, and then quickly went behind her and stabbed her backstab. -800. -1880. Because her throat was cut, the little loli fell to the ground and died tragically without even a scream, and her spirit beasts also turned into white light and disappeared because of the death of their master, but their attacks still fell, and a big pit was directly blown on the ground, with smoke and dust rolling. Fortunately, Ye Chen was well prepared and ran away first. After defeating Dujula, Ye Chen was relieved and sat down to rest for a while. After eating bread and drinking spring water to replenish HP and MP, he continued to move to the next level. After clearing several levels in a row, he came to the 20th floor. At present, no player in the entire light camp has cleared this level, even some masters are stuck here. The reason is that the hero soul on this level is a master of poison. You know, poison resistance is not as easy to push as fire resistance and ice resistance. At this stage, poison resistance equipment cannot be said to be absent, but it is extremely rare. In addition, there are only 4 types of resistance puzzles: fire resistance, ice resistance, light resistance, and dark resistance. There is no so-called poison resistance puzzle. Therefore, there is neither poison resistance equipment nor poison resistance puzzles now. Players stack poison resistance, which is powerless. But Ye Chen has the best equipment, the poison bracelet. The best is the best. Not only is the special effect awesome, but this piece of equipment alone provides Ye Chen with 50 points of poison resistance. So, others have no chance, but he has the confidence to fight. Stepping into the 20th floor, this floor is like an underground prison. Ye Chen glanced over and saw that the ground was full of corpses wrapped like mummies. One of them was a strange guy wrapped in bandages and wearing a gas mask, injecting an unknown potion into a corpse. He is the hero of this level, Research Maniac Caesar. Research Maniac is not just for nothing. His gas mask not only has extremely high poison resistance, but also has the function of insight and invisibility. So even if some thieves want to sneak attack, it won't work. Tisk tisk, his gas mask is at least a holy weapon, coveted by countless people, but it's a pity that this Tower of Death will not drop any items. Caesar himself is also very sharp, and soon found Ye Chen. He suddenly exerted force and quickly injected the unknown medicine into the body of the corpse, threw away the syringe, picked up a sprayer, and rushed towards Ye Chen. Boy, don't disturb other people's research casually. Caesar is a guy with a bad temper and personality. You know, the reason why the heroes in the Death Tower are called heroes is because they were heroes in their lifetime. But Caesar is different. He doesn't deserve to be called a hero. He is a madman. He can do anything for research. He once killed his wife in order to test the resurrection potion he developed. However, the resurrection potion failed. This incident became a fuse. After that, Caesar became more and more crazy and inhumane. However, he is indeed a genius. As the saying goes, he takes a different approach. He is still valued by the Light Camp with his outstanding ability, and he has indeed made many military achievements in the end. Caesar cursed at Ye Chen and suddenly shot out a stream of venom with a sprayer, but Ye Chen easily dodged it. In his rage, he threw the sprayer out with great force and it exploded at Ye Chen's feet. -200. With a bang, blood gushed out of Ye Chen's head, and he was enveloped by a thick poisonous gas. At this time, most players would fall into a poisoned state, losing 50 HP per second, but Ye Chen was an exception. With a poison resistance of 50 points, he directly ignored the poisonous gas. The strongest assassin in the server. Author, B.A. Wang Shi-san. Chapter 75. Seeing that Ye Chen was immune to the poison, Caesar was stunned for a moment, then turned around and ran to the back. There were many sprayers in the corner. Ye Chen certainly couldn't let him succeed. He was immune to the poison, but the explosion of the sprayer was a fixed damage of 200 points. With his current HP, he could barely withstand it once. If he was attacked again, he would definitely die. Run! Ye Chen flashed several yards away like lightning, came behind Caesar, and knocked him out accurately with a club. Just at this moment, the corpse that had been injected with an unknown drug actually staggered and climbed up, with strange red light in his eyes, and stretched out his hands like a zombie and rushed towards Ye Chen. Stab, Backstab. -950. Google searched Can. Yechen was not scared by the corpse, and continued to attack Caesar, because the latter was level 20, and the damage he dealt was not as terrible as before. The current strongest backstab damage was only 1000, and the normal attack barely hovered around 100 points. Caesar, on the other hand, had an HP of 5000 points. The next second, Caesar woke up from his dizziness. Unarmed, he did not fight back against Yechen, but ran directly to the corner in front. The corpse quickly rushed over and blocked Yechen, and grabbed Yechen's face with its twisted hands. Aura of kindness. Suddenly, a sacred light emerged from Yechen's body, covering a radius of 5 yards. The corpse's hands were about to reach his face, but suddenly stopped. The corpse's blood-red eyes suddenly darkened, and it lost its target and swung left and right randomly. Caesar, who had just run a few steps, was obviously also covered by the sacred light, but he was fine. He ran to the corner in 3 or 2 steps and grabbed a sprayer with a crazy smile on his mouth. Yechen knew that Caesar would not be affected by the aura of kindness. With a thought, he took back the red flame dagger, and at the same time, a torch and fuel oil appeared on his hands. Click. Yechen pressed the button to ignite the torch, and threw the fuel and torch at the pile of sprayers in the corner. The fuel hit the sprayer first, the fragile glass bottle broke, and the fuel inside flowed out. The torch, with a burning breath, drew an arc in the air. Boom. 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 Horrible explosions sounded one after another, poisonous gas filled the air, and a black mushroom cloud rose with the firelight. In the chaos, Caesar screamed like a pig being slaughtered. After a while, Caesar coughed violently and walked out of the poison barrier. At this moment, his whole body was charred, many bandages and flesh were blown away, and even the precious gas mask was blown open. The poisonous gas poured in, causing him to fall into a state of poisoning, and his body surface was toxic. The miserable appearance was like a humanoid monster. Het. Yechen smiled in surprise. This was also the work of Kixing, and he didn't expect it to play a huge role. At this moment, Caesar only had a little bit of health left, so he didn't hesitate and rushed up to end his pain with a dagger. After dealing with Caesar, Yechen directly withdrew from the Death Tower, because the task of the second stage of the title grid had been completed. Even if he continued to fight, he would never be able to win the third stage at his current level. The second he left the Death Tower, the font on the plaque changed and finally became Yechen, Occupation, Thief, Level 11, Cleared Floors, 20. Wow, the cleared floors of the Death Tower have been refreshed. 20 floors. So awesome. Who is Yechen? Why haven't I heard of him before? He cleared the 20th floor at level 11. This is too scary. After all, no matter how strong the 20th floor heroes are, there are 20th level heroes. Look, did you notice that this Yechen is also a thief? He directly overwhelmed the two great gods Mingtian and Susha. Tisk tisk, our light camp is really full of hidden dragons and crouching tigers, and the water is very deep. Some sharp-eyed players immediately noticed the changes on the Death Tower plaque and immediately started a heated discussion. However, Yechen, as the person involved, left silently. He was dressed in a black robe, and his whole body, including his head, shrank into the darkness. Compared with other players with bright equipment, he was really inconspicuous and no one paid attention to him. But no one knew that his dark cloak was a golden equipment, but he had set up a shadow to hide all the light emitted from the surface. A thief should look like a thief. The more inconspicuous he is, the more he can shine at a critical moment. After a while, Yechen came to an empty corner, clicked on the auction system, and started to search for equipment. This auction house is very convenient, with many small categories. Yechen locked on a category, evasion rate. Then he clicked on search, and suddenly a large number of equipment that increased evasion rate were refreshed on the list, but most of them were green and blue equipment. Purple equipment was very rare, and there was no gold equipment. Speaking of evasion rate, everyone will involuntarily think of miss. As we all know, when a player dodges an enemy's attack, the system will determine miss, but this is actually unrelated to the evasion rate. This depends on the player's agility attribute and his own reaction. After increasing the evasion rate, even if you are hit by the target, there is a certain probability of miss. The higher the evasion rate, the greater the probability of miss. The avoidance rate exists in the form of a percentage. With a 1% avoidance rate, there is a 1% chance of a miss when attacked by the enemy. With a 10% avoidance rate, there is a 10% chance of a miss when attacked by the enemy. Then some people will ask, if the evasion rate is stacked to 100%, wouldn't it mean that you can just stand still and let others hit you without getting hurt? Actually, it's not the case. First of all, the evasion rate is not easy to stack. A purple outfit that can increase it by 3% is already a top-notch item. Secondly, even if you really stack the evasion rate to 100%, you won't be truly invincible. There is an attribute that is mutually reinforcing and mutually restraining with the evasion rate, hit rate. You stack the evasion rate, and the enemy stacks the hit rate, and they can still control you. And in comparison, the hit rate is even easier to stack. For the same level of equipment, if the evasion rate increases by 3%, the hit rate will increase by 5%, or even 8%. By comparing, it is not difficult to see that the evasion rate is completely suppressed, so players don't need to deliberately stack this attribute. However, in order to get the title of Perceiver, Yechen needs to miss 1000 attacks of nothingness in the realm of nothingness, so it is necessary to buy a set of equipment that increases the evasion rate now. Yechen glanced at the equipment on the list, picked the good ones, and quickly bought a set of evasion equipment, spending a total of more than 500,000 copper coins. That is more than 500 yuan, and Yechen felt that this investment was necessary. After changing a set of equipment, his evasion rate reached 16%. With a satisfied smile, Yechen turned around and entered the Death Tower again. This hidden task is very troublesome, because the void is on the 5th floor. In order to complete this task, you can't kill the void, but you have to be killed by him countless times. And when you come up again, you have to clear the first 4 floors first. Of course, if you are optimistic enough, you will be thankful. Fortunately, the void is only on the 5th floor. If it is a few floors later, it will really be vomiting blood. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Strongest Assassin in the Server. Author, Ba Wang Shi-san. Chapter 76. 2 days passed, and Yuchen's attack on the Tower of Death came to an end for the time being. Of course, the mission has not been completed. In fact, because it is a hidden mission, there is not even a progress prompt. But Yechen also had an estimate in his mind. He had missed more than 300 attacks from the void, which meant that he had completed 1/3 of the progress. It will take about 4 or 5 days to complete the task. But this task was too boring and tiring, and he had little experience. He planned to put it aside for the time being. Leveling up was important now, and he would resume it later when he had time. It just so happened that last night when he was having this idea, Fatty called and said that he and Tank Monkey had both reached level 10 and had arrived in Bayun City. Xiaochenzi, where are you? Come to the center of Bayun City quickly. Monkey, Fatty, and I are all here. Not long after Yuchen went online, he received a message from Tank. He grinned and ran quickly towards the center of Bayun City. Along the way, he found that there were more and more players in the city. Compared with the previous few days, that is geometric growth. Of course, compared to the first batch of players, the subsequent batches are much worse in terms of equipment, level and other aspects. This is normal, because 80 or 90% of the first batch of players came up with the first kill, seizing the opportunity. When Yuchen arrived at his destination, he found 3 good brothers waiting for him there, blowing their pussy while waiting. "Look at my giant shield, this level 5 purple outfit. The expert level dungeon exploded, and now I sell it outside for 3 gold coins at least." Tank patted his shield, glanced at the two of them energetically, and said, "I was the main MT in the team at that time. Without me, the team would not have been able to beat the expert copy." Finally, the shield exploded. "What did the team leader say?" "You didn't say anything, just threw it to me. It's just a level 5 purple outfit, and it doesn't have the best attributes. Its practical value is not as good as a level 10 blue outfit," Monkey said sourly. "You don't understand. Having purple armor now is a symbol of status," Tank laughed. "In fact, he has no use for this level 5 purple shield now, but he is reluctant to sell it, so he just holds it in his hand to show off." But what he said is also true. The equipment explosion rate of Dream World is extremely cheating. It has been half a month since the server was launched, and blue has not yet become popular. Most players still mix and match blue and green equipment, and have a purple equipment. You really have the ability to show off. A showman like him did not hide the light of the equipment. At this moment, a layer of faint purple light lingered on the giant shield, attracting many players around to stop and watch, with envious expressions on their faces. It was a very refreshing thing to be praised by everyone, but because the protagonist was not him, the fat man couldn't help it, and he hummed, "A level 5 purple suit, I'll make you proud, I'm a level 10 purple suit." The giant sword didn't make a sound. As he said that, the fat man turned on the hidden light with a swipe, and everyone around him was in an uproar. "TCH, you bought it with money, what's there to show off? Tisk, tisk, a level 10 purple armor giant sword. It costs at least 1 or 2,000. It's enough for my living expenses for half a year." Tank rode. He knew that Fatty's family was well off and he only wanted to enjoy playing games. He was happy to spend money to buy equipment. The two sides had different philosophies. Looking at the two people who were arguing over something big, Yechen suddenly felt dumbfounded. "Hey, Yuchen, are you here?" The monkey was the first to notice Yuchen and greeted him with a smile. The two fat men also turned their heads and smiled when they heard it. "Follow me," Yuchen said with a dark look on his face, and led the 3 of them away from the crowd and to a quiet corner. "Xiaochenzi, your black robe is quite stylish. What kind of equipment is it?" Tank patted Yechen on the shoulder and said casually. "Golden equipment." Yuchen smiled lightly. "What?" The 3 of them were shocked. After looking at each other, they smiled tacitly. Seeing that they didn't believe it, Yechen formed a group to pull them in, and then directly sent the properties of the dark cloak to the team channel. Hiss. Now the 3 of them believed it, gasped, and looked at Yechen with extremely complicated and unfamiliar eyes. Is this guy still the same Yechen who likes to brag like himself? He took out level 10 gold equipment as soon as he asked for it, and he was so calm? Indeed, Yechen might not have even noticed that his temperament had changed a lot. His strong strength and excellent trump cards made him very confident. Of course, even so, he would not show any sense of superiority in front of his brothers. He is still the same person as before, and the brothers are still the same brothers. "Tank, lend me your level 5 purple shield," Yechen said. Tank was still in shock, so he handed over the giant shield in a daze. Yuchen took the shield and used the forging technique. With a ding, the level 5 purple shield turned into a level 10 purple shield. Tank took it and took a look. He almost jumped up in shock and said with his tongue tied, "Brother, can you upgrade the equipment?" As soon as these words came out, Fatty and Monkey were also extremely shocked, looking at Yechen as if they were looking at monsters. After Yechen nodded again, they were shocked and even more excited. "You've made it? Buy a level 5 purple outfit and upgrade it to level 10, and double the price difference," the three of them almost shouted in excitement. If a level 5 purple equipment is upgraded to level 10, the price difference will more than double. You should know that now most players have reached level 10, which means that level 10 equipment is in short supply, and the price of level 5 equipment has dropped a lot compared to the previous few days. Buy at a low price and sell at a high price. Just like the most popular shield warrior weapon, that is, the giant shield. Not to mention the best, now the level 5 purple giant shield is only 3 or 4 gold coins, but the level 10 giant shield is at least 15 gold coins. Even if it is sold for 20 gold coins, it is not uncommon. 20 gold coins, converted into RMB, that is 2000 yuan. In addition to the giant shield of the shield warrior, the giant sword of the berserker and the long sword of the magic swordsman, these weapons of popular professions are also in urgent need. The price difference between level 5 and 10 weapons is at least 2 to 3 times. In other words, if you get any level 5 purple equipment now, Yechen can earn 500 to 1500 yuan. Damn, no wonder this kid wants to drop out of school. With this one trick, he can make a lot of money, and he still has to go to school. Well, I have the same idea, but it is not convenient for me to take the lead. Yechen smiled and said, "Well, I will buy and upgrade the equipment, and then you three will help me sell it in the auction house, and the profits will be divided equally among the 4 brothers." Although Yechen is now powerful, he has offended many forces, including some top forces. As the saying goes, the first bird to stick its head out will be shot, and he needs to keep a low profile and accumulate strength now. Hiss. Hearing this, the 3 of them almost fainted with happiness. The strongest assassin in the server. Author, B.A. Wang Shi-san. Chapter 77. The 3 of them were ecstatic for a while, but soon straightened their faces and said seriously, "It's okay if we help you hang up, but we can't accept the money." Yechen frowned. The 3 of them shook their heads insistently, and then laughed and said, "It's okay, we will hang out with you from now on, even if we don't take the money, you won't treat us badly." At this moment, the 3 of them got to know Yechen again. Although they still regarded him as a brother, on this basis, Yechen seemed to have become their backbone, that is, the boss. "Okay, you guys hang out with me and you'll be the most popular and drink spicy food from now on," Yechen smiled boldly. Then, he opened the auction house and started looking for level 5 purple equipment. Seeing this, the 3 of them also opened the auction house to help search. Unfortunately, there are very few purple items at level 5 in the auction house. Obviously, those high-end players had already sold low-level purple equipment at a stall in the novice village before coming to the main city. After all, it would be difficult to sell them when they got to the main city. But few does not mean none. Yechen, Fatty and the others did some shopping and found about a dozen low-level purple clothes. There is also a level 7 purple equipment, which can be upgraded to level 12 using blacksmithing. It can be sold for a good price. Yechen bought them all and almost used up all the game coins, but if he sold all the upgraded equipment, he could still make a small profit of 10,000 with interest. Of course, this is just a small profit. When the large army reaches level 15, he will be looking for level 10 purple equipment upgrades to sell, and that will be a huge profit. If he was willing, he wouldn't even have to play the game and just sit there and collect money every day. Soon, he used blacksmithing skills to upgrade all the equipment, and then gave them to 3 people to put in the auction house. "Yechen, are you treating me tonight? Don't go to some big food stalls, go to a big hotel. Eat, sing, and get great health care all in one package," Monkey said with a mean smile. "No problem." Yechen waved his hand, and then said with a smile, "It's just about health care, It has to be serious. The three of them were startled. What does serious healthcare mean? Special is the way to go. Suddenly, they thought that the school beauty was still living with him. You bastard, Ye Chen, if you dare to have sex with Yun Qian'er, I will be jealous of you, the fat man said with tears in his eyes. He was envious and jealous in his heart. They agreed to be silk pickers together. Why is Ye Chen so awesome now? Haha, there's no point in being impatient, it will happen sooner or later. Ye Chen laughed. Nima. The three of them cursed collectively. If it were before, they would have thought that Ye Chen was joking, but now Ye Chen has really risen, and will become more and more obsessed with him in the future. Matter. A few people laughed and laughed for a while, then Ye Chen led the way. The four of them left Baiyun City and headed north to a wasteland. System, you have discovered ancient ruins, recognition add 2. Ye Chen, what are we doing here? There don't seem to be many monsters in this ruins, so it's not suitable for leveling, the fat man said. I'll take you to defeat the boss. Ye Chen smiled mysteriously. He had experience in his previous life and knew the location of a large number of boss spawns. He didn't dare to come alone before, but now that the brothers are together, they can fight. More importantly, the tank is also a shield warrior, and he is very powerful. By the way, there are two brothers ahead. Let me introduce them to you. Ye Chen smiled and pointed forward, and two people came over. It was Huo Tong and Big Breast. They have also reached level 10. Ye Chen contacted them last night and gathered at the ancient ruins today. Boss, why are you here? Denai and I have been waiting for you for more than an hour. Huo Tong strode over and complained feebly. Sorry, I wasted time meeting a few brothers. Ye Chen apologized and introduced everyone by the way, then pulled the two of them into the team and walked into the Chaos ruins. The feeling inside the ruins is like a dilapidated palace, and it's still in the desert. A humanoid snake demon walked towards me. She had a beautiful appearance, a voluptuous upper body, but a creepy snake tail on her lower body. Beautiful snake warrior, common monster. Level 10. HP 500/500. Skill, Soul Seduction. Dig a hole, Medusa. This is it. The fat man stared at the beautiful snake's upper body with his eyes fixed on it, and his saliva dripped down indecently. Enter Fatty, let us see your strength. Monkey smiled. Fatty is a berserker of the giant spirit clan, with an altitude of up to 2.2 meters. Even monkeys have to look up at each other, which makes him feel very awkward. Not only him, but Ye Chen and Tank also feel this awkward. After all, they used to, all fat people look up to them. Come on, the fat man took off the giant sword on his shoulder, looked down at everyone with a condescending look, and then strode towards the beautiful snake. Blow. The fat man really took action, and he was unambiguous. The giant sword slashed the soft upper body of the beautiful snake, causing blood to flow out. But the next moment, the fat man seemed to have been cast by magic. His eyes were obsessed and spinning in a restored manner. This is clearly the seductive skill of the beautiful snake. It is a passive skill that only has a certain chance of being activated when it is attacked. Unfortunately, the fat man stepped on the spot and fell into a state of confusion. Then the beautiful snake started to attack crazily, waving the rapier in her hand repeatedly, but the fat man's equipment was very good, and she couldn't do much damage at once. What's more, there are big breasts in the team to help increase blood. I'll go. The fat man woke up quickly. He wanted to show off in front of everyone, but he was embarrassed by an ordinary monster. He was angry and attacked the beautiful snake again. However, he triggered the passive of the beautiful snake again and was confused again. We are almost there. You stepped on poop today, so bad luck. Tank cursed and rushed to help. Who knew that after he used a shield to repel the beautiful snake, he also fell into a state of confusion. Tank and the fat man fell into a state of confusion at the same time, and began to fight without recognizing any relatives. This shocked everyone. Ye Chen's heart jumped, his eyes suddenly lit up, and he hurriedly looked at the beautiful snake carefully. With a higher recognition than everyone else, he soon found that this beautiful snake was not ordinary. Beautiful Snake Warrior, Charming Lisa, Special Monster. Level 10. HP, 500/500. Skills, LV10 Charming. Notes, Lisa is naturally charming and is a charmer among snake monsters. She has charmed thousands of male snake monsters. Ye Chen was overjoyed. He didn't expect to find a treasure just by killing an ordinary monster. Who of you bought a trap? Catch her, Ye Chen shouted. Everyone looked at each other. They had just reached level 10 and had never bought a trap. Okay, I'll go buy a trap. You stay here and don't kill her, Ye Chen told everyone and crushed it and returned to the city. The strongest assassin in the server. Author, B.A. Wang Shi-san. Chapter 78. The so-called special monster is an existence between ordinary monsters and lords. In terms of rarity, it is much rarer than the lord. At the same time, special monsters also have a certain chance of bursting out with purple equipment, which is also higher than the lord's burst rate. But even so, ordinary players are reluctant to kill special monsters, because their special effects are very good, and if caught, they will become very good pets. For example, that special beautiful snake warrior, her seduction is actually LV10, and the probability of triggering it is astonishing. The fat man and the tank just hit each other and they would fall into chaos, but the ordinary beautiful snake warrior's seduction is only LV1, between the two sides the gap is vast. However, even if special monsters are very suitable for pets, players are reluctant to kill them. However, the appearance of special monsters is almost exactly the same as that of ordinary monsters. Many players cannot recognize them at all. Even if they are recognized enough, under normal circumstances, who would seriously stare at the little monsters? Because of this, most of the special monsters that are already rare and rare are killed by players by mistake. Therefore, players with special strange pets are very rare. Even in Ye Chen's previous life, when Dream World was running for 4 years, such people were rare. After Ye Chen returned to Baiyun City, he quickly ran towards the store. Now that the special monster is right in front of us, no one in the entire team is equipped with a bear trap. He looked embarrassed. You must know that Fatty and others had just arrived in the main city and were not familiar with the environment. However, he had been in the main city for 3 days, and he was a reborn player, so he did not prepare a bear trap. In fact, you can't blame him. After all, the thief profession does not have much need for pets, and they may even feel like they are in the way. Of course, if it is a lord level or even more advanced pet, that would be good. But pets of this level are basically hatched from pet eggs. After all, wild lords are very difficult to catch. Even if they stand still and catch them for you, you may not be able to catch them even if you catch them all day and night. In his previous life, Ye Chen also caught a few junk pets, but they were of no use. After he got addicted to them, he left them alone. But now that he had met a special monster, he couldn't miss it. He quickly bought enough animal traps and came to the ancient ruins again. Soon they met up with Fatty and others, with the tanks in front fighting the monsters, while Ye Chen stayed behind and kept throwing bear traps. System, you failed to capture the beautiful snake warrior. System, you failed to capture the beautiful snake warrior. After more than 10 consecutive failures, Ye Chen knew that special monsters were also very difficult to catch. So, he distributed the animal traps to everyone and said, "Everyone catch them together." Boss, pets captured with bear traps cannot be traded. It would be bad if we capture them, Huo Tong reminded. There's nothing wrong with it. The money won't go to anyone else. If you continue to mess around and get discovered by others, you'll be in trouble, Ye Chen said, and everyone was overjoyed and began to capture the beautiful snake with confidence. Tank was the only one with a miserable look on his face. Because he had to fight the monsters in front, he couldn't spare his hands to catch the pet. He said depressedly, "Hey, it seems I don't have a share in this pet. May, you are a shield warrior, but you want a shitty pet," the fat man cursed. "Isn't this Medusa? It's okay to masturbate to her if you have nothing to do," Tank Lang said with a smile. "Beast. You are so dirty, we can no longer be friends." Everyone looked at Tank, with expressions of disdain, but then turned to look at the beautiful snake, looking at the delicate and charming face, and the proud and plump bust. They swallowed quietly, and suddenly felt that Tank's proposal was not bad. 2 hours passed in a flash. In addition to the Tank fighting monsters in front, Yuchen, Fatty, Monkey, Fire Barrel, and Big Breasts, a total of 5 people used bear traps continuously, but still failed to catch the beautiful snake. During this period, passers-by passed by from time to time, but they were not very discerning and could not discern the true attributes of the beautiful snake Lisa, so they would only think that she was an ordinary monster. Damn, what a bunch of stinky seducers. There are so many men trying to catch a beautiful girl because they want to masturbate to her at night, some male players said with disdain. There were a few girl players passing by, but they didn't say anything, but the look of disdain and disgust in their eyes immediately broke the hearts of all the animals. While heartbroken, everyone was quite lucky that at least this special monster had not been discovered yet. But as time went by, someone still discovered Niduan. It was so strange. If it was just an ordinary monster, with so many of them catching it together, they should have caught it long ago. Maybe that beautiful snake is not an ordinary monster. I don't recognize it well enough to get a glimpse of its true appearance. The man was smart and quickly contacted his boss to tell the situation. That should be a special monster. Keep an eye on them and I'll bring someone over right away, Laudadeo. At the same time, Yechen and others also discovered the sneaky guy who refused to leave. Yechen, that kid may have discovered something. Should we kill him? Monkey narrowed his eyes and said. It's useless. Judging from his appearance, he must have already called someone over and is waiting anxiously. Yuchen analyzed it calmly and then said, don't worry about him, let's hurry up and see them then. The number and quality of the team, if you can get it, if you can't get it, withdraw first. Everyone nodded, gathered their minds, and continued to capture the beautiful snake. More than 10 minutes passed, and a team rushed over. The leader turned out to be Gao Ming. You are so clever. Yechen, what should we do? Fight or not? Their equipment is very good. Look at Gao Ming's body, and all his grandmother's clothes are purple. Fatty and others were suddenly shocked and asked Yechen in a low voice. Don't fight, retreat. Opposite was a well-equipped elite group, but there were only 6 people on his side, so it was easy for Yechen to make the decision. When Gao Ming discovered that the person opposite turned out to be Yechen, his face instantly became ferocious. However, he noticed that Yechen and others seemed to have the idea of retreating, and suddenly laughed again and said mockingly, what's wrong, Yechen? If you retreat, now, this special monster belongs to me. Listen to my men, you've been arresting me for several hours, and you're just giving up like this? You're so damn cowardly. You can't even play a game. What's the use of you? Gao Ming said contemptuously. Everyone's faces were filled with anger. They wanted to see Gao Ming's face in real life, but they also wanted it in the game. Calm down, let's retreat, Yechen said expressionlessly, threw out the last animal trap, turned around and left. Although everyone was unwilling to do so, they could only follow. But at this moment, the beautiful snake suddenly screamed, turned into white light, and flew towards Yuchen. System, congratulations on successfully capturing the beautiful snake. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The strongest assassin in the server. Author, Ba Wang Shi-san. Chapter 79. Haha, Monkey was stunned, and quickly dispersed the explosion fire technique in his hand, laughing heartily. In fact, he originally wanted to kill the beautiful snake, otherwise it would be a bargain for Gao Ming. Who knew that Ye Chen got there first and succeeded in catching it at the last minute. Everyone was infected by his laughter and laughed, and the frustration in their hearts was swept away. Gao Ming's face twisted. Damn, these guys joined forces to catch it for 2 hours and didn't catch it. Why did Ye Chen catch it as soon as he came? What are you still doing? Chop them for me. Taiwan Novel Network Rightward arrow. Gao Ming raised the knight's short sword and led the crowd to charge. If the special monster was still there, he might let Ye Chen go, but now that the special monster has been caught, he has nothing to worry about. Looking at Gao Ming's army rushing over, Ye Chen's eyes condensed, and he called everyone to flee to the depths of the ancient ruins together. Gao Ming and others were also not afraid at all, and they chased after them. Humph, since you want to play, I will play a big game with you, Ye Chen sneered, and began to calculate Gao Ming in his heart. Indeed, they alone are not the opponents of Gao Ming and others, but he can use the power of the boss. The scene changed, and Ye Chen and others came to a desert. In this desert, there are many moving black spots. If you look closely, you will find that they are not black spots, but black hooks, which are the hooks of poisonous scorpions. And the poisonous scorpions are lurking under the sand. Because he knew the true face of these black spots, Ye Chen did not dare to be careless, and led everyone to deliberately bypass the black spots and continue to flee forward. Those black spots should be some kind of monsters. Bypass them, and keep chasing. Gao Ming gave orders, looking coldly at Ye Chen in front of him, and with better equipment, they gradually approached. Suddenly, they felt their bodies shaking, and they encountered a sand trap, and the sand under their feet kept sinking down. Fortunately, this sand trap was not serious, and they wasted a little time, but they crossed it safely. However, during this time, Ye Chen distanced himself from them again, and Gao Ming was so angry that he kicked the sand hard and continued to chase. On the other side, a relatively intact palace appeared in front of Ye Chen and others. At the entrance of the palace, there were 2 snake demon warriors holding steel forks guarding. Compared with the beautiful snakes, they looked ugly and weird. Snake demon warrior, ordinary level. Level 12. HP, 550/550. Throat slash. Stab. Ye Chen rushed forward first, using 2 skills to easily kill the 2 snake demon warriors in seconds. Go in, listen to my command later, Ye Chen said, and led the way into the palace. This was the first time that Fatty and others saw Ye Chen take action. They were impressed by his methods and nodded quickly, following Ye Chen's footsteps. When they arrived at the hall, they saw many snake demons patrolling in groups. Ye Chen rushed out directly, shooting darts to attract hatred. Go forward. Ye Chen knew that Gao Ming's army was still chasing behind, and wanted to trip them up, so he led the snake demons around for a short circle and returned to the palace gate. Stealth. After Ye Chen led the snake demons to the palace gate, he became invisible and chased his companions in front. Not long after, Gao Ming and others entered the palace and were immediately besieged by the group of snake demons. Gao Ming found that except for the group of snake demons in front, the hall behind was empty, so he knew that it was Ye Chen's trick. Fortunately, they were all masters, and they killed most of the snake demons in just 1 minute. Okay, stop fighting, chase them. Gao Ming was furious. He didn't need to upgrade today, and he would kill Ye Chen no matter what. On the other side, Ye Chen met up with his companions and came to the end of the hall. There were 2 passages in front of them, one leading upwards and still letting in sunlight. The other leading downwards was pitch black and eerie. "You go first." Ye Chen pointed to the passage leading upwards and said. "What about you?" everyone asked worriedly. "He, I'll play with them first, don't worry, I've been to this place many times and I'm very familiar with it, they can't beat me." "Well, then you be careful." Seeing that Ye Chen insisted and believed in his strength, everyone stopped talking and went to the passage above one after another. Watching everyone go upstairs, Ye Chen's expression changed and revealed a cold smile. "It's not a joke, it's to play Gao Ming and others to death." After waiting for a few minutes, Gao Ming and others finally came over. Ye Chen hooked his finger at Gao Ming and sneered, "If you have the guts, just follow me." After speaking, Ye Chen turned around and rushed into the dark basement. This guy is so arrogant. By the way, why is there only him? There are so many idiots. He is not cheating. Everyone was whispering. Gao Ming roared to interrupt them, saying, "What a bullshit cheat, can he do anything alone? Don't worry about those idiots, kill him first." As he said that, a group of people chased him frantically. In the basement of this palace, there were wall lamps on the wall, which made the darkness visible. Ye Chen looked over and found that it was a prison. But the cells were empty. It was reasonable to think that this palace was an ancient relic, and now it has been occupied by snake demons. The so-called prison has also become history. Ye Chen moved forward all the way. There was a dead end in front of him, with only a closed iron gate. Looking at the thickness of the iron door, it is enough to infer how terrifying the guy inside is. Ye Chen sneered, opened the door and went in. In the small space, there was a huge snake demon lying. This snake demon is different from ordinary snake demons. It actually has two black wings on its back. Black-winged snake demon. Grade. HP. Skill. With Ye Chen's recognition level exceeding 20 points, he could not discern any information except the boss's name. But through his past life experience, he knew that this big guy was a level 30 Golden Lord. Ye Chen said that he would take the guys to defeat the boss, but he was not among them. A level 30 Golden Lord, with the player's current level, he would be killed no matter how hard he fought. At this moment, the black-winged snake demon is sleeping soundly. He also has the upper body of a human, but his face is long and pointed and twisted, and he seems to be on the verge of degenerating into a snake again. Ye Chen entered the stealth state and carefully came to 10 yards behind the black-winged snake demon. He released Xiao He and asked him to walk forward and come to the back of the black-winged snake demon. 10 yards is the maximum distance that Xiao He can extend from his body. In reality, it is also 10 meters. Haha, there is a dead end ahead, that kid is dead. Lang, tell him to hang out with me. Don't do anything for a while, watch me kill him with my own hands. Following a few sneers, Gao Ming led a group of men into the secret room. Now, with a thought in Ye Chen's mind, Xiao He hit the black-winged snake demon on the head with a sap. Ho ho ho. The strongest assassin in the server. Author, B.A. Wang Shi-san. Chapter 80. Roar. Searched Can on Google. The black-winged snake demon was hit by the sap, but he did not fall into a dazed state. In pain, he burst into a roar that shook the world. The secret room was not big, and it was filled with echoes that made everyone's eardrums hurt. Gao Ming and others looked at the black-winged snake demon in confusion. They came to kill Ye Chen. How did they meet such a monster? And judging from its power, I'm afraid it's not an ordinary monster. With my 10-point recognition level, I can't even figure out the name of this boss. A word came out from the crowd, and everyone turned pale with fright. This showed that the level of boss was far higher than them. Withdraw. Gao Ming looked around the secret room with a sullen face, but did not find Ye Chen's figure. He knew that he had fallen into his trick again. After scolding all the 18 generations of his ancestors in his heart, he reluctantly issued the order. Retreat command. However, Will they be so lucky? The black-winged snake demon swam with its long tail and shot out. With one long tail, more than 10 people were knocked to the ground and died immediately. Hiss. When everyone saw the boss killing 10 companions in an instant, they gasped and ran away crazily. However, their speed was far inferior to that of the black-winged snake demon, and in the end, everyone was forcefully whipped to death by its long tail. After killing everyone, the black-winged snake demon still couldn't calm down from the rage. Its long tail whipped against the wall, making a crackling sound. Yachen was still invisible and did not dare to move. He was afraid that when he ran away, he would be instantly killed by the long tail of the black-winged snake demon who whipped him randomly. After a while, the black-winged snake demon seemed to be tired of venting, and finally stopped, and Yachen took the opportunity to escape. Coming out of the basement, Yachen walked towards the passage above and came to the second floor to meet Fatty and others. The number of monsters in the ancient ruins is really small and not suitable for leveling. There are only a few beautiful snake warriors in the second floor hall, and most of them have been killed by everyone. But there are many closed rooms in the hall on the second floor. Everyone wants to explore them, but they are afraid of danger. Now that Yachen has come up, he will lead the way and inspect each room. According to the memory of the past life, the 15th level Lord Medusa will randomly refresh in a certain room. That is the real Medusa, not an ordinary beautiful snake warrior. Yachen pushed through several rooms one after another, but did not find Medusa. Instead, he found a treasure chest, which turned out to be a gold treasure chest. This is the advantage of ancient ruins. Although this place has few monsters, it is rich in treasure chests and many lord monsters. On top of this golden treasure chest, there was a three-eyed venomous snake. When it spotted Yachen and the others, it immediately stood up and threatened. Yachen sneaked up and pounced on him, cutting his head off with a throat wipe. Purple venom shot out like arrows and sprinkled on Yachen's body, but his poison resistance was extremely high and he was directly immune to this poison. If someone else was hit, I'm afraid it wouldn't be easy. Yachen, the golden treasure chest, open it quickly and take a look. Everyone looked at the golden treasure chest and couldn't even move their eyes away. It's no wonder for them, after all, there is a chance that golden equipment will appear in the golden treasure chest. My unlockability is only LV1, and the success rate of opening gold treasure chests is extremely low, so you have to wait a long time, Yachen said. Although he cleared the hell level of Flame Swamp and got 2 skill points and a scroll that added a few skill points, it was impossible for him to use the precious skill points to upgrade lockpicking. That would be too wasteful. It's okay. Opening the gold treasure chest is like you want to sleep with a beautiful woman, but she has to take a shower first. You have to wait for how long? Tank said with emotion. You are so dirty. Everyone complained. Yachen smiled and started to use the lockpicking skills. After failing hundreds of times, there was a ding, and the lockpicking was successful. System, your unlocking skills have been upgraded, currently LV2. There was a system prompt in his ears, but Yachen didn't pay attention. He glanced at everyone and focused on the items in the tall box. A box full of skill books, 2 pieces of equipment, 1 gold coin, some silver coins, and 1 copper coin. Bleeding Stream, skill book makes the target's bleeding state deepen. Restricted occupation, thief required level 10. Life healing necklace, purple quality. Level 10. Magic defense add 80. Intelligence add 30. Spirit add 30. Special effect, HP upper limit add 100. Special effect, the amount of treatment increased by 10%. Medusa's love necklace, purple quality. Level 10. Magic defense add 100. Strength add 30. Intelligence add 30. Petrification resistance add 50. Special effect, when attacking, there is a 5% chance of causing the enemy to become petrified. What a gift! 2 pieces of purple equipment and a rare skill book, everyone was ecstatic. Ye Chen smiled. Needless to say, this bloody thing must belong to him. This is a passive skill. After bleeding the enemy, the bleeding effect will be deepened. Although he cannot bleed the enemy now, the rogue also has a passive skill of bleeding. This skill is not a rare skill and can be bought with money. The combined effect of bleeding and blood flow is really awesome. In addition, after the player reaches level 10, he comes to the main city, and there is no professional mentor in the main city. Therefore, all skills in the later stage require players to learn them through skill books. Skill books after level 10 will also have a limited time limit and cannot be learned in advance. Of course, the special skills in the scroll still do not have this restriction. Life Healing Necklace increases the HP limit and healing capacity. Deny, this equipment originally belonged to you, but the tank currently does not have a better necklace, so he will wear it first. When he has good equipment, he will replace it and give it to you. What do you think? Ye Chen is determined to build an elite group, so it is necessary to fatten up the shield warrior tank. Well, I have no objection. Big Tit said frankly. He is not a newbie either. He knows the status of the shield warrior in the team, so there is no need to fight for it. What's more, in the early stage, the effect of 10% of the healing volume is not as great as the upper limit of 100 HP. As for Medusa's love necklace, which is still bleeding, Ye Chen wanted to take these 2 pieces away, and everyone had no objections. Afterwards, he directly learned the bleeding skill, and then opened the auction house to look for the bleeding skill. Sure enough, someone was selling it, but the price was higher than the market price, and it actually cost 1 gold coin. You know, a single bleeding is really useless, and can even be described as garbage. But now that Ye Chen was bleeding profusely, he gritted his teeth, spent a gold coin to buy the bleeding, and studied. LV1 bleeding, there is a 10% chance of causing the enemy to fall into a bleeding state when attacking, reducing HP by 10 points per second for 10 seconds. LV1 blood flow, as noted, deepens the bleeding state, reduces HP by 20 points per second, and does not conflict with other bleeding damage.